Hi guys, Mons here. On today's episode of All the Mons, we're going to be going through the Premier League Game Week 8 review. So this weekend, I got a chance to watch two games. The two games I got a chance to watch were Liverpool versus Manchester United and Spurs versus Aston Villa. So the first one I want to go through here is I'm going to go through Liverpool versus Manchester United game. This was the game of the weekend for me. This was the biggest game this weekend and obviously involved my team, Manchester United. Before the game, I predicted Liverpool win because we never go to Anfield in action. Even in our heydays, when Fergie was there, we rarely ever won Anfield. So I was expecting another Liverpool win in this game. However, my heart was telling me to go for Man United, but my head was telling me to go for Liverpool. But I did feel internally that we had a chance against Liverpool, especially because how they've been playing recently. So when this game started, when I started starting 11, first of all, I wasn't very confident because I felt it was a bit negative because we didn't have Euro starting ahead of Maguire and Sesko started either. But obviously Amorim proved Amorim right. Also, just before I get started, I'm going to give Amorim his credit. He got the team selection completely spot on. The formation, the way we played. Like I said, he has tweaked the way we play a little bit in the last couple of weeks, and that's been showing improvement in our plays so far. Especially since against Sunderland and in this week. His reasoning for dropping Sesko was that Konate and Van Dijk like confrontation in the air, and he wants to give them something different, which was completely spot on because Van Dijk and Konate are two big physical guys. Obviously, Van Dijk is very good in one-on-one. Well, supposedly to be very good 1v1 defender. However, in this game, Cunha made bits of him and Konate. He kept dropping in between them. He kept dropping back to midfield to make to double up in midfield against the Liverpool midfielders. And Konate and Van Dijk didn't know whether to follow him in or to just stay back. And also, Mbeumo kept tucking in, made it harder between Kerkez and Van Dijk. And obviously, Ahmad pushed all the way right up. So in this game, Man United got a very, very quick start. I was very pleased with the start we got. Mbeumo took his goal very, very well. And what a pass from Ahmad to Mbeumo. The weight of this pass was absolutely spot on in my opinion. And Mbeumo took his goal well. Could the Liverpool keeper could Liverpool keeper done better? In my opinion, I felt Liverpool keeper could have done better when Mbeumo passed. With Mbeumo finish, in my opinion, similar to how Lemons came out and covered the angle and gave Salah basically nowhere to shoot for Salah's late chance. And like I said, in this game, Amorim was completely spot on with his formation, with his style of play. Cunha was very, very good. Cunha reminds me, he's very, very similar to Bruno, simply because the high risk, high reward type of player. I love Bruno. Bruno's my favorite Man United player, and I will always back Bruno. But Cunha also had that savior complex about him, that he wants to do everything himself, which I think sometimes you need to let the ball go to his teammates that are in better positions, in my opinion. The Man United keeper, like I said, even from the first game I saw him against Sunderland, he was very good. And this game, he was very commanding. He literally breathes confidence onto the centre halves. And when you have a keeper like that behind you, that you know you can trust, like he made a very, very good save against Isak with his feet, and he's very good in the air as well. He's very commanding. And for me, he brings that physical presence United have lacked since Edwin van der Sar. So I'm very, very happy with the keeper. In terms of the way Man United set up, Mount was basically playing. I don't think Mount didn't get forward that much. It was more of a workhorse in the left hand side. I think Dalot got forward more than Mount did, and Mount kind of obviously tucked into the middle of the park as well. And I felt Mbeumo was probably our highest player up, and Mbeumo kept tucking in between Kerkez and Van Dijk, which made it very hard for them to which one to pick up. And Kerkez got absolutely exposed in this game, in my opinion. Ahmad was fantastic. Ahmad, what a player. Like I said, I was very disappointed with Ahmad this season up until against Sunderland. Against Sunderland was our best player in the park, and this game was one of our best players in the park until he got taken off. I felt he shouldn't have got taken off simply because he gave us offered something very, very good going forward, and also defensively he was very good. However, he was on a yellow card, and the last thing you want to do at Anfield is go down to 10 men, in my opinion. I'm just looking through my notes here, and like I said, I've given Amorim, like with Amorim, I have no problem with a manager as long as you're winning and I see signs of improvement. Last two games I've seen signs of improvement. Like, there's nothing to complain about Amorim. Once you see signs of improvement and we see wins, that's all the supporter would ask for from Amorim. Just show us signs of improvement. Show us signs of that you're trying to improve, trying to change things if things aren't working. And he's done that the last couple of weeks. I have nothing but praise for Amorim, in my opinion. But the jury's still out on him, simply because of his record previously. So the more he keeps winning, the more he will keep winning me over. It's just simple as that. No agenda against Amorim whatsoever. Um, and obviously, in terms of Liverpool and their ball fraud, the guy doesn't stop bitching and complaining and moaning. I heard him before the game. He was like, "Oh, we've seen Man United play with Sesko, and when they come to us, with long balls, blah blah, and when they're playing us to change our system, of course we're going to change our system. What are we supposed to do? Give you exactly how we play every single game? Of course no. Managers should change things from game to game to game, depending on the opponent. In my opinion, if like I said, Amorim changes simply because Van Dijk and Konate are very dominant in the air. So look, can you mark Cunha? Can you mark Mbeumo? And obviously, Amorim obviously won the tactical battle against the ball fraud Arne Slot. And after the game, I was saying how Man United sat back in the low block, blah blah blah. Look, I don't care how Man United sat back in the low block. I don't care about that. You're going away to Anfield. Of course you're going to do that. What does he expect? We're going to play 4-3-3 with high and wide wingers, and then the midfield. No, absolutely no way. Even at Fergie's heyday, Fergie used to go up to Anfield and play 4-5-1 or 4-3-3. But then everyone just talks it. Like, that's just the way it's always been when you go to Anfield. Anfield is one of the most terrifying places to play and one of the most difficult places to play as a footballer. Every single ex-pro footballer, especially Man United players, every single one of them, even Rooney said it, that he hated playing at Anfield. Everything was just close in. But yeah, obviously enjoyed. Like you can't go to Anfield and be just so open. They will just pick you apart, no matter how bad Liverpool are playing. So Arne Slot to shut up about giving out about Man United being low block and defensive. Like if Arne Slot goes away to Madrid or whatever, one of the big European teams away, he's going to do the exact same thing. I remember against PSG last year, Arne Slot and Liverpool team went to PSG last year and they sat in a low block and defended the whole game, and Salah got a fluky goal to get a winner. So he's done the exact same thing in the past. I don't know why he's bitching and complaining and moaning every single week about teams coming to Anfield and sitting in the low block. Makes no sense to me. Just get on with it. He needs to worry about his own team. His own team are absolutely on a downward spiral. They've lost the last 4 games in a row. He needs to worry about his team. Maybe change a couple of things. Maybe start Curtis Jones. Maybe start Hugo Ekitike along with Isak. Instead of bitching and complaining and moaning about other teams, in my opinion. I said I think last week or the week before, I think Mo Salah needs to be dropped. I love Mo Salah, probably one of Liverpool's greatest players, one of the greatest players of all time in the Premier League. But he's just not in form at the moment. Just drop him for one game, bring him off the bench. Just get his hunger up again, in my opinion. Simple as. And also, what I would say about Virgil van Dijk is, this is the second week, I think second or third week in a row, that Virgil van Dijk has been exposed for just jockeying players. And Roy Keane, I think Roy Keane was, I don't agree with Roy Keane very often, but I think Roy Keane was spot on in terms of Virgil van Dijk. If you're the leader of that team, you're the captain, you're the leader, you're probably the best player on the team. You're one of the best players of all time in the Premier League, one of the best centre halves of all time in the Premier League, the best player in Liverpool, and one of the best players in the Premier League the last couple of years. You need to take more accountability. You need to look yourself in the mirror and maybe get your team together. Maybe keep it tight at the back for first half an hour, 40 minutes of a game, and then go out and attack after that. Like I don't see how teams like Liverpool concede so many goals, especially with having the caliber of defenders they have. And also, I said after game week 1 against Bournemouth, if Liverpool keep conceding goals like this, it's going to be a very, very long season for them and their supporters. And that's exactly how it's turned out to be. And I also said, when they kept getting the last minute winners, they're not going to keep getting away with it. Teams are going to cop on. Teams are going to sit back. They're going to hold it tight against them. And the last couple of weeks, I think Liverpool on a downward spiral. And I pray they keep going on a downward spiral because, personally speaking, as a rival of the team, I hate Liverpool. And I don't want to see them win any more titles until we win a title, in my opinion. That's pretty much my review for the Liverpool and Man United game. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. One of the best. That's probably our best away result in a very, very, very long time, in my opinion. Played very well. The Man United players showed great character. From Cunha to Harry Maguire, he's just Harry Maguire. His character and his confidence is something else because, including myself, Man United even supporters, managers have killed him, took their captaincy off him, so on and so forth. But I just keep coming. The amount of last minute winners or last minute equalizer he scored for us is amazing. I remember the one from last season in the Europa League against Lyon, and he scored so many vital goals for us. In my opinion, I think he's going to be a cult hero when he retires, and I hope to God Man United give him a good send off when he does retire because I'm not his biggest fan. However, he has delivered for us in so many games, in my opinion. So shout out to hats off to Harry Maguire. So next game I got through to the Villa and Spurs game. this was one of my favorite games of the week that I watched. Well, I only watched two games, but this was the second favorite one I watched. Simply because I fancy Villa in this game. Like I said, my risky pick alert cleared. And also, what I would say about those Spurs team, Spurs are a bum team. I have no time for Spurs whatsoever. They play a very, very boring brand of football. Literally, they're over reliant on Kudus every single time. And the manager, Thomas Frank, big fan of him. However, it needs to be more. It needs to be more inventive, and it needs to be more inventive in the way they play because they play this every single time. Get the ball out to Kudus, try get in the box, but that's not going to work against everyone. And the midfield is very, very bland. What about Sunshine Man, Xavi Simons? That brother is absolute bum. As Pink would say, cover me in sunshine. If there is no sunshine, that brother is not playing good whatsoever. He was an absolute bum again. Literally, he reminds me a lot of Madison. He's a sunshine player. He literally, when teams aren't going his way or things aren't going the team's way, he just goes hiding. Doesn't look for the ball. Doesn't try to get on the ball. Try and make things happen. Literally, that is a Spurs player. That is a Spurs DNA. That's a Spurs DNA player in him, in my opinion. And also, Spence, the fullback. I didn't see him posting anything on Instagram this week about getting this Spence penitentiary. I must have missed it if I didn't post it up. I guess he's like I said, Spurs. Their fans always talk so much shit every single week. They had a couple of good results to start the season. I believe United are still going to finish ahead of them this season. United have had a very, very tough start, and we're only a point behind Spurs. So, I have a couple of Spurs fans as friends, and I told them United are going to finish ahead, and they were laughing at me. Now, who's laughing? It's going to be a long season, but I still believe United are going to finish ahead of Spurs. In terms of Villa, I feel Aston Villa got their mojo back. Unai Emery, what a manager, man. From looking like he was going to get sacked to winning, 4 or 5 games in a row now. I think 1 or 2 in Europe and 3 in the Premier League. And also, Watkins had a little knock in this game. However, I felt Malen was very, very good. And shout out to Onana and Konsa. Those two guys were very, very good. Konsa is a very, very good player. I don't see him being in Aston Villa for very long. He's such a good 1v1 defender. And he defends the space very, very well. He's quick, he's agile. And he's a very, very aggressive tackler. I'm a big fan of Konsa. Onana was very, very good in midfield. He was colossal in midfield. I'm also a huge fan of Onana, but he's too injury prone in my opinion. That's the only problem with him. But he's a very, very good player. And don't forget, Tielemans is still to come back and stand midfield. When Tielemans come back and stand midfield, I think they'll go up another level in my opinion. And also, Spurs better hope Romero's back because without Romero, there don't seem to be any leadership out on that pitch for Spurs. Like I said, my risky pick alert landed. My risky pick alert check cleared. They didn't believe in us, but God did. And also, what I would say about Spurs is next weekend they're facing everything. I'm not going to go say anything yet, but I'm going to go through that in my game week 9 preview and prediction and picks that we're dropping on Thursday. So that's pretty much it for me for this week in terms of my review. Thank you very much if you made it to the end of my video. I appreciate all the support. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Have a lovely week.